Hello everybody, I'm Dustin Benzel, and welcome to another Pokemon XY anime discussion. Today is going to be a jam-packed episode because earlier this morning or late last night, at least in my time zone, there was another preview released that not only shows up the upcoming episodes, but it shows things that we haven't seen yet, as well as some other scenes that have already appeared within the anime. It is like a weird 30-second trailer, and I will get into it. But for right now, we're going to jump into my special review of Pokemon XY episode 61. Now, I know I said that I wouldn't review every single episode because it would be hard for me to do that. My channel is not exactly that big, and I have other commitments, so I can only pick and choose right now what I can discuss in regards to Pokemon XY and Pokemon anime in general. But there are times where I said that there are just special episodes, important episodes, that I feel like that needs to be discussed. And that would be Pokemon XY61. Alright, so you probably already know the episode by now because it's been released for it's been 24 hours since release or whatever, even probably more than that. Let's begin with it. The episode begins basically in some sort of oasis in a deserty area, and there's Spoink there, and then there's these two random characters that really hold no relevance outside of noting that the Spoink that live at the oasis are very friendly, and they're willing to help travelers along the way stop at the oasis and get them some food and some water. So that's really a nice touching moment. And then all of a sudden a Grumpig comes in there, blasts them all to Kingdom Come, and then there's this particular Spoink, a specific Spoink. I've heard some other people refer to it as maybe a leader of sorts, like the head honcho Spoink or the king Spoink, or however you want to look at it. Well, then it went off blasting off, and apparently it went looking for some help, apparently, and that's when we got the opening. Just to let you know, the opening has been updated, and it includes Sliggoo, Braixen, and Luxray, and Serena's new design. That's really nice. However, I do have to point out that one of the Braixen shots that's in the beginning, I think it's the one where Ash and Clement are roughhousing, basically, and Ash has Clement on his back, and Clement's freaking out, kind of. I have to say that shot of Braixen is kind of awkward because it's just sitting there and it's so big. But that's just me. It's otherwise fine. It's just that at that particular moment it was a little awkward for me. But anyway, so then the episode begins, and what it is we go to our heroes now, and they're drinking water and stuff, and I'm not really sure what was going on. I think Gumi was trying to use another move, or was trying to learn a new move or something like that, because Gumi was making some sort of noise or something. It was like, ah, ah, and Bonnie watched this or noticed this, and Bonnie seemed concerned for a moment, and then all of a sudden it changed into a happier moment or something like that. They were congratulating Gumi or praising Gumi for some reason or another. And again, I can't exactly say for sure what it was, because I don't speak Japanese, but just the context seems like it was trying to learn a new move or trying to do something, because then next thing you know, Ash is training Gumi, blah, blah, blah. Spoink comes in. I have to give credit that it was really cool to see Ash actually recognizing Spoink from the beginning, Banebu, or whatever the Japanese name is. I like moments like that. It's very uncommon for Ash to notice a Pokemon first before someone else calls it out and stuff. So it's really nice to see Ash. It's just a little trivial thing about it that I like. But so then Spoink got taken care of. Spoink led them to the Oasis. Kind of liked how they were training Gumi and Pikachu, and Spoink comes in. Wait, what? Oh yeah, and then Spoink noticed Ash, and then noticed how Ash was like being whatever, and then when Spoink recovered and was happy, and then Ash said something along the lines of, "Why are you here? Why are you injured?" or something of that nature. Like I said, I don't speak Japanese, but I just assume that's what Ash was asking Spoink, because next thing you know, Spoink got all serious and was trying to grab Ash's attention and point him towards the oasis, which is really nice because it's really nice to see these random non-Ash Pokemon, like having their trust in Ash and stuff. So yeah, there is that to notice and stuff. So then they go to the oasis, and that's where we see this the Grumpig that was attacking all the Spoink earlier. He's apparently the boss now, or at least apparently he's ruling the Spoink with an iron fist, basically. They spill fruit on him accidentally, and he ends up firing attacks at them. Then Ash gets involved, blah blah blah. The Spoink are mind controlled. Ash and company go into a cave. That's where they get trapped. Grumpig laughs kind of in a funny way. Okay, voice actors in Japan. Okay, alright. That's an interesting way. I regret when this is going to be dubbed, because I'm pretty sure it's not going to have the same voice. But anyway, so then Team Rocket reveal themselves. One thing that I'm going to tell you right here is that Jessie notices Serena's haircut or hair design change or whatever. Other people have said something about, has Serena been heartbroken or something of that nature, and Serena basically tells Jessie to go stuff it, basically. Mind your own business. And then Team Rocket reveals the plan that they saw a starving Grumpig and tricked it with food, unlimited food, I'm assuming, based on the images that were provided by Team Rocket's explanation. And they tricked Grumpig into doing their bidding for food. And then they saw Ash, and then they came together with Grumpig to come up with this cage plan or whatever. Anyway, Ash and company are all upset, Ash and company are not going to have any of Team Rocket, basically, but then Team Rocket does douchery. So anyway, the Team Rocket has Grumpig attack the Spoink until Ash gives up Pikachu. Chespin comes out of its Pokeball on its own accord. Clement's like, what are you doing, Chespin? But Chespin winks at Clement, has a great plan, apparently. Team Rocket leaves the keys, blah, 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 blah. Chespin is using Vine Whip to escape. So before that, though, before they escape, there's the whole, Dedenne and Gumi are trying to, get the key from Grumpig. That doesn't work out too well because Grumpig apparently has super hearing or something. And Dedenne fights Grumpig. Meanwhile, Clement finds a weak point in the cage. Then Ash uses Frogadier. It's really nice to see Bonnie using Dedenne as an attack. So Frogadier is using Water Pulse. Dedenne is fighting, as I was saying before, Bonnie. I really like this moment because Bonnie was actually commanding Dedenne to use attack like Nuzzle and Thundershock, and Dedenne did really pretty good, I guess. It fared fairly well, I guess. I don't know how strong Grumpig actually is, but I assume that it's roughly the equivalent of a low-leveled gym leader or gym challenger Pokemon. Like, say, it could probably take on Karina's, like, Meanfu and possibly Machoke, maybe. Oh, anyway, so like I said, it was really nice to see Bonnie commanding Dedenne, and Grumpig is probably the equivalent of a Meanfu or a Machoke, in that it probably could beat it, but probably wouldn't fare too well against Mega Lucario, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I'm rushing through the synopsis so I can actually get into the review part of it. So then Dedenne is knocked out, I think, by Psyshock. I'm not really sure what attacks Grumpig used, but Dedenne was hit into the rock wall. It crashed, and then it was up to Gumi. Gumi uses Bide at least once to use success. Grumpig just shakes it off, basically. Then when Gumi tries to use Bide again, that's when Grumpig dodges, and then Grumpig uses attack. Gumi tries to use Bite again. Then we switch over to Frogadier using the last water pulse to break open the cage, or at least the rock thing, so it's weak enough, and then Ash is just slamming into the cage. Then Grumpig decides to use Iron Tail instead of its special attacks. Because apparently Bide only works against special attacks. Okay, I'm pretty sure Bide uses every move, possibly, but whatever. So, as Grumpig is using Iron Tail, Ash bursts through that metallic cage like a boss. I mean, seriously, the way that he hit it, the way that it seemed, he hit it so hard that Ash was like a locomotive going through a flimsy metallic cage there. That's how it is. And then Ash runs in there and takes Iron Tail. And, oh man, that had to have hurt. Oh, Grumpig using Iron Tail. Probably one of a powerful hit, I would say, of Iron Tail. And it took it. There's a really nice moment that I will get into in a moment after the synopsis real quick. We see an Ash and Gumi's eye. Then Gumi decides to evolve. I do have to say that while I don't mind the music of V-Volt, the first opening of XY that plays during evolutions, I really wish that they would change it up a little bit. Maybe even create a special evolution music for Ash's Pokemon or something like that. You know, because V-Volt is kind of... I don't mind it, but I've seen a lot of people having problems with it, and I can understand that it's kind of annoying to hear V-Volt in every single music clip or whatever. So, yeah, you know, I don't really mind it, but yeah, I would personally like some variety here with the evolution music. Anyway, Gumi evolves into Slugoo, which is really cool. One thing that I have to note is that I'm a little disappointed that Serena didn't exactly have much of a positive reaction to Gumi's evolution. I mean, Bonnie, Clement, and Ash were fairly happy about this, but Serena was just looking like a, you know, I understand why it happens, but you know, when the animators only choose to focus on one character, a lot of the other background characters don't get very much, and Serena unfortunately didn't get very much in the form of reacting to Gumi's evolution, so we don't really get to see what Serena thinks of Gumi evolving, because it would have been nice to see that, but whatever. Anyway, Slugoo evolves, then Grumpig uses a ranged attack. Slugoo dodges it by sticking to the ceiling and starts charging up a dragon breath, and Clement notices that. But, you know, I have to call foul on that, because usually when Ash used the Pokedex on his own Pokemon, he would know that they learned a new Pokemon move. So to have Ash use the Pokedex to know what Slugoo is and not see any difference in move changes, and then have Clement be like, hey, it's using Dragon Breath, was really sour grapes to me. But only because it was Clement. If it was Ash saying, oh, you learned Dragon Breath, that would have been fine. But I don't like how Ash doesn't actually know what move is being used a lot of the times, and he has to be explained to it just for the benefit of the audience, or however you want to look at it. But yeah, it's really disappointing. Anyway, Slugoo hops off the ceiling, uses Dragon Breath, Grumpig goes flying, all the Spoink that were under control are not in control anymore. Spoink tells them what's going on. The Spoink are happy about this. Grumpig lands into a food tray and tries to apologize to Team Rocket. Team Rocket are jerks. I'll get into Team Rocket's failure in just a moment. Anyway, so then we have Team Rocket saying how much of a loser Grumpig is. Grumpig is shattered beyond belief. Then Ash and company come up to Team Rocket's balloon. One thing I do have to note, James notices that Goomy does evolve into Sligoo, and I really want to know what was being said in there, so I'm going to have to see a translation of that later on, or maybe someone could put that in the comments, but I found that really interesting that they actually acknowledged that Ash's Goomy did evolve into Sligoo, so if I see a translation before any comment says what James said during that moment, I will make a comment about that. I don't know if you'll probably see it since I don't have a lot of subscribers just posting comment after comment. So anyway, Sligoo uses Dragon Breath again to counter Pumpkaboo and Ike's attack. Pikachu blasts off Team Rocket. Then the balloon is deflated. Blobby blobby blue blue. Blobby blobby blue blue. Sorry. The fruit, the Spoink, there's a really funny shot of, after Grumpig is, acknowledged again after Team Rocket blasts off. Grumpig is there and he's all like scared or whatever. The camera shows, Spoink's, all the Spoink's, reactions, and, we don't see the one that Ash interacted with, though, with the, bandage on its forehead, but, we do see the other Spoink, and they have like this really angry look on their face. I found that funny. I was like, whoa, they're not happy at all. And to make matters worse, when Grumpig was like giving them fruit, the Spoink were holding the apples that Grumpig was giving them, but they still had that same reaction. It was like the only difference is that they were holding an apple. Anyway, the bandage Spoink that Ash interacted with actually forgave Grumpig, blah, 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 blah. Then they go on their own merry own way back onto Lumio City. Okay. Anyway, I want to go back and touch up some of the moments within the episode. One thing that I have to note, and I already slightly addressed this, but one thing that I really like about this episode is that it has a little bit of foreshadowing. If you've been paying attention to the previews and the episodes themselves, there's a little foreshadowing going on between Ash and Goomy. When Ash protected Goomy from Grumpig's Iron Tail, and Ash was like, "Don't worry, Goomy, I take care of this." We get a shot of Goomy's eye, and inside that eye is Ash, and that's what caused the evolution. But later on, in the gym battle with Ash versus Clement, we see Goodra in Ash's eye, and I think that's really nice foreshadowing that Ash and Goomy are probably going to have a very good bond relationship with each other, that I can't imagine Goodra being all crazy like Charizard or disobedient or something. But there is a possibility, and I will address it as the future previews that we see in the future. But first, let's talk about Team Rocket in this episode. I will have to say that I admire Team Rocket a little bit in this episode. Well, not admire. I'm a little happy with Team Rocket in this episode, a little happy towards how Team Rocket was portrayed in this episode, because in this episode they seemed like they were very vital to the plot, and that the whole plot of the episode, even Goomy evolving, were as a result of Team Rocket's plan and plotting and stuff. So I do have to give props to the writers of this particular episode to make Team Rocket actually relevant in this episode, although I really wish that they wouldn't make Team Rocket relevant in all the episodes when they don't have any relevancy. Well, that's just me. But I do have to criticize Team Rocket for one thing. Now, I don't understand why Team Rocket rejected Grumpig. I have no idea why they did that. The fact that Grumpig was willing to do what they wanted for food, and the fact that Grumpig failed, is really off to me. And the reason why is because Team Rocket's own Pokemon fail miserably, more so than Grumpig ever did in that particular episode. I mean, I'm just like wondering, why didn't Grumpig be obtained by Team Rocket outside the fact that they're not 6th generation Pokemon, and possibly they didn't want to give Team Rocket past generation Pokemon and they only want to focus on new generation Pokemon. You know, I can see that being a point of why that, but at the same time, I really don't like it. I mean, I'm not saying that Grumpig should have gone to Jesse. If anything, it should have gone to James, because having Jesse with 3 Pokemon and James with only 1 would have been a little awkward. I can be fine with Jesse having 1 Pokemon more than James, but 2 Pokemon, that might be a little off to believe. But still, even then, I still had a problem with the fact that Grumpig was not caught by Team Rocket, or that Team Rocket treated Grumpig like dirt, basically, just because it failed, even though Team Rocket loved their own Pokemon. So that's a little confusing. There is some logical errors in that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Team Rocket wanted nothing to do with Grumpig. Maybe that was the case in the beginning and they were just only using Grumpig. There was no possibility for a future team up with them, or possibly the writers kind of screwed themselves over by creating this plot in the first place because they didn't want Grumpig with Team Rocket on a permanent basis. Whatever the issues are, I'll let it slide simply because there may not have been any other option, but that's just how it is. Anyway, so that covers that. I know I've already said this in my previous video, but it was just text basically. I just want to make it perfectly clear that Pokemon's Luxio is going to evolve into Luxray next week. Well, the next Thursday that's coming up, which should be in a few days from now, probably like 5, 6, something like that. I don't know when I'm going to upload this particular video. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Alright, let's go into talking about the preview that we saw, and I'll discuss that a little bit more, or I'll discuss it in depth as much as possible. Late last night or earlier this morning, I'm not really sure because I only found out this morning in regards to me, but early this morning, I saw a preview, and it was pretty interesting. I wasn't expecting this, but then I saw a thread in one of the Pokemon forums that really caught my eye because it really didn't make any sense to me, because it would have probably been already pre-made already. But that was as a result of a preview that showed. Now, the preview actually showed a lot of the upcoming episodes that we do know so far, as well as some episodes that we may not know of. So let's jump right into this particular preview. I'm going to try and think of everything we see in the preview and how it might relate to the episodes that are coming up, or even the past episodes that we've already seen, or even possibly future episodes that we don't know of yet in terms of what's going on. Anyway, let's start off with the first scene. One thing that I remember seeing in the preview is that we see Jesse's Wobbuffet, and we also see a female Wobbuffet with lipstick. Oh man, that's just weird looking. And there's a group of Wynot. In that particular image, they look a little scared or whatever, and I don't know what's going on, but I think that is definitely about the Wobbuffet episode that's coming really soon. I think right after when Luxio evolves, and then, which is 63, and then 64 is when Fennekin is supposedly going to evolve. So then there's that. Then we see some images of Serena training Fennekin and Pancham, I think. And one shot, if I'm not mistaken. If I am mistaken, there will be text confirming that I did make a mistake. But one thing that I did see in the preview, and I think, is that there was Pancham, and its butt was on fire, or its back was on fire or something, and it was just running around. If I am not wrong, there will be an image instead that shows you this particular moment. Then we run into the Tierno episode. We don't get to see much about that. particular episode. As far as I'm aware, I will get into it a little bit more in depth when we get to the last part of the preview that I saw. Anyway, what we do see of the Tierno episode, the one where Slugoo is likely going to evolve, we see that Wartortle and Raichu are in a cage, I believe, and Raichu tries to use some sort of electrical attack and shocks Wartortle. I could be wrong, but if not, there will probably be some image relating to that scene somewhere. Once we see the flashback with Clement and the machine from the previous Fletchling capture episode, we see Sycamore in a car with Clement, Ash, Serena, and Bonnie, and Clement has another device, and it's using, and then it explodes, and it's a very funny moment. Another shot we see within the preview is Mega Garchomp, which goes along with my speculation that there will indeed be a Mega Evolution of Garchomp in that Garchomp episode. Now we can get into the Gumi development episodes that we're going to run into. There were other shots that were relevant to Gumi, at least in my opinion. Now, I will say this right now. There was a shot of a beautiful blue Florges that I wish Ash would get. Anyway, there was a blue Florges that showed up, and I think that's relevant to Gumi's development, because I think that Florges is one of the reasons why Gumi had to get kicked out of its home. Anyway, how it pertains to Gumi, I can't exactly say for sure. I could be wrong, but I think it's relevant to Gumi's development, because we do see shots of Gumi as well as a Wooper, or a Woopa, I think is the Japanese version of the name. We see Wooper as well as Gumi, and they have this shocked face, and this is relevant because we can assume that because Gumi has already evolved, that image of Gumi and Wooper being scared of something is relevant to Gumi's past, because we also see a pond or a thing that I think we saw in the Gumi's flashback, and it had Lotad and Swanna. It was like some sort of pond with lily pads on it, and we see this particular similar scene in the upcoming preview, and in this case it's not a flashback because it doesn't have that red tint memory thing that it had. So the last scene is really important, and I want to discuss it a little bit. And what it is it has Pikachu, Wooper, and possibly something else. But what we actually see is Goodra. We see Ash's Goodra, I believe, and Goodra is laying down and covered up. Now, I want to address this for two particular reasons. One, the speculation that other people have in regards to Ash's Goodra, and two, how it might pertain to how Goodra might be portrayed, at least before this episode and after its evolution. So after it becomes Goodra and before this particular episode, assuming that they are not part of the same episode, since I cannot see Tierno being thrust into an episode that revolves around Gumi's backstory. Could happen, might happen, but I don't exactly see it happening unless Tierno is doing something weird. But regardless of what's going on, I want to address those two. First off, let's discuss the speculation that other people have with Goodra. Now, people have been complaining in the forums that Gumi evolving into Goodra so fast is quite frankly, they don't like it or agree with it. I don't really care about that particular idea in regards to Gumi's development being too fast, just so we can get Goodra. And as a result, they want Goodra to be released. And they point to this preview as possible proof that Goodra may very well be released to help out the area in which Gumi home was in the beginning, and therefore Goodra might be released to protect that area. I want to say no. I realize that we haven't seen Goodra for the movie, and that is a little troubling. And I do agree that Goodra not showing up in the upcoming movie, as even the Pikachu short, is a little concerning. But at the same time, I have to call out a big no. I'm not saying that Gudra may not be released later on in the future, but having Ash capture Gumi and then having it evolve all the way to Gudra, having it help Ash get his badge with Clement, if that's going to be the case, and then just having it be released as a forethought afterwards makes no sense to me. This would call back to the Kanto region when Ash caught Primeape, used it in one tournament, and released it. Ash only had Primeape for maybe at most 6 episodes, and it only showed up in a couple of them. Or even capturing Caterpie, evolving it into Butterfree, and then releasing it. At least that could make sense in terms of storyline, in that it was important to see certain mechanics within the anime. However, having this be the result of Gudra doesn't really make any sense to me. I do doubt it could happen as a result of the cake and the script. I can't imagine why they would shove Gudra on there, even if they were dubbing episodes with Gudra that haven't aired yet. But come on, people. You may not have liked Gumi's quick evolution into Gudra, but come on. Come on. Releasing Gudra? This is Ash's first pseudo-legendary Pokemon that has a 600 base stat total within the games, and just simply because you don't like its development, somehow Ash has to be screwed over and Gudra has to be released. Are you serious right now? Is that really what you want? That doesn't sit very well with me, because otherwise Gumi would have been completely pointless. And for someone like me, I despise when the writers give Ash pointless Pokemon, because they make me care about that Pokemon because it is part of Ash's team, and then they just throw it away as if it didn't mean anything. Kind of like what they tried to do with Gliscor in 4th gen. I'm really happy they brought Gliscor back, but I was not happy about that release. Neither was I happy about Butterfree being released, Lapras being released, Primeape being released, or any of Ash's released captures. Because they make me care about the Pokemon, they make me want to see it all the way through to be oaked, so that we can possibly see it in a future episode, like once every 10 years, and then we don't ever get to see it again if it's released. I hate that. I hate that so much. If they want to release episode, do it with Serena, do it with Clement, do it even with Bonnie. Ash has been the main character for over 15 years. Maybe even more. 97, let's see, 2007, maybe? Yeah, almost 20 years. Almost 20 years Ash has been a main character. Having Ash capture pointless, useless Pokemon really irritates me, especially if it's a Gudra. If Ash caught a Furfrou and he released it, I probably wouldn't mind as much, because it's a Furfrou, and if Furfrou would have been nice for however short period it would have been, and I probably would be upset that Furfrou would have been released, hypothetically speaking. But Gudra, you're going to give Ash something like Gudra, and then you're just going to have Ash possibly release it just because? No, I really do not want that. I'm already pissed that they gave Cameron, a lesser character than Ash, a Hydreigon, just so that Cameron could take out 2 of Ash's Pokemon without any thought of Ash's team in general. They already insulted Ash during that whole entire battle. I'll be damned if I'm going to be happy about Gudra's potential release before Valerie, before Olympia, before Wolfric, before the League. If it's after the League and they go back to the Gumi's homeland, and Ash releases Gudra, then I'm not exactly going to be entirely happy about it, but it would be preferable than having Ash with Gumi for only a few episodes, having it evolve into Sugu, only for a few episodes, then it evolves into Gudra, then Gudra only exists for a few episodes, and then Ash releases it. You have the option to store extra Pokemon with Professor Sycamore or even Oak if Ash isn't getting at this particular point, it's going to be completely pointless. Because now Ash is going to completely catch 2 random Pokemon that aren't going to make any sense. You know, there is no better option for Ash right now than Gudra and keeping it. I mean, there is Greninja and Talonflame, and those are probably likely. But of the remaining Pokemon, if we ignore Gumi's capture altogether by releasing Gudra, what do we have? There's no other suitable options. There's Fantup, or maybe some favoritism out there for some people, Skiddo. Well, what then? What then? The only other Pokemon that Ash might be able to catch that might make up for the fact that Gudra might be released is Aegislash. But then so much for Fantup, and I don't really think Skiddo is going to be much of an option if Ash gets Aegislash. Because that's going to be kind of weird. It could still happen, but it'd be kind of weird, you know. And then what? Bergmite and Avalugg? Are we serious? We're going to release Gudra for an Avalugg. You know, at least... But even so, Aegislash? Why can't Ash just get a Honedge and then evolve all the way into Aegislash? Why do we have to see Gudra being released for this? I mean... What the hell would have been the point of Gudra? Just to show that they're willing to give Ash a pseudo legendary? Just for that particular reason? Absolutely no. If Gudra is being released, if Gudra is released before the league, during the league, and not after the league, I'm going to be super pissed about this happening. I'm not joking. I'm going to be upset. Anyway, let's jump into the second reason, or the second point of why this might be interesting with Gudra being laying down covered in a blanket. Now, a lot of people think that Gumi is evolving quickly because it's going to call back to Ash's Charizard and the disobedience plot. So far, I haven't seen any reason to believe that. Now, I understand Gudra might not be all there, and I can understand that maybe Gudra will be pushed to the point where it might actually be like, say, Infernape's Blaze, Chimchar's Blaze, when it was under Ash's control, or even like Iris's Dragonite. But I can't see Gudra outright disobeying Ash, but let's assume that that is actually the case. So Sliggoo evolves into Gudra in XY061. Then Gudra disobeys Ash and goes and battles Clement. Gudra does its own thing. Ash can't control Gudra at all, but Ash has faith in Gudra and that it will do its job of beating Clement's Pokemon. I'm sure Gudra will either be a benefit or a negative point for Ash during that particular gym battle. Then we get into the shot where Gudra is laying down and there's a blanket over Pikachu, Wooper, and we believe that that would be a backstory for Gumi, Sliggoo, and Gudra. Now, I think in that particular episode, if Gudra is disobedient, is going to be the part where Gudra actually starts listening to Ash. Now, you're going to probably think, well, if Gudra is so powerful and so overpowered, why would they not delay this? Well, the simple fact is Gudra really doesn't have many gyms after Clement. Valerie is not much of an option because of the fairy typing, and Gudra currently doesn't have anything to counter fairy types. As for that, if Gudra was going to get a poison type attack, I don't want it with Iron Tail. That's one thing I don't want Gudra with. Otherwise, give Pikachu Brick Break. But if Goodra is going to have some sort of defense for fairy types, and it's going to be used against Valerie to demonstrate that fairy types are completely immune to dragon types, what I want is either of the 3 poison type moves that are really cool that it can learn, the one that I probably want the most is Sludge Wave. I would prefer that over Muddy Water. However, there are 2 other moves that I'd be okay with. I would be okay with Poison Tail and Poison Jab. Both are also poison moves that I believe Goodra can learn. Now, I'm perfectly fine with those particular moves for Goodra. But I really want Sludge Wave because I liked how Ash's Palpitoad actually debuted Sludge Wave within the anime in 5th gen in that only good battle of the league in the 5th gen. But I want another Ash's Pokemon to have Sludge Wave, and I only want Sludge Wave to be shown in this particular method of Ash's Pokemon, because that would be so cool if Ash had enough poison-type Pokemon that had Sludge Wave, and Sludge Wave only showed up with them, then it would be kind of a nice trivia moment to say that Sludge Wave in the anime has only debuted under Ash's Pokemon. You know, just for the fun of it, you know. But I'm okay with Poison Tail or Poison Jab. I'd prefer Sludge Wave because it would give Goodra a ranged poison attack that might be able to help it against fairy types, especially if they use like Fairy Wind or Moon Blast, so that'll be very helpful. As for its other moves, I don't know. What I see Goodra having is probably along the lines of Dragon Pulse, Sludge Wave. I'd like to see it with Power Whip and maybe either a fire type attack or an electric type attack. I think I want to see Goodra that varied, but we'll see when Sliggoo evolves. Right now, Sliggoo has Dragon Breath. We didn't see Bite or Rain Dance. I'm not sure if we'll ever see those moves again. I don't think we'll ever see Bite again because Dragon Breath will definitely take out the need for Bite. So right now, Sliggoo might actually only be using Rain Dance and Dragon Breath. So I do expect Dragon Breath to upgrade to Dragon Pulse when Sliggoo evolves into Goodra, because I don't expect Goodra to know both of those moves. So then there's that. So whatever the case may be, I guess we'll see in the future. So that covers everything. Thank you for watching my review of Sliggoo's evolution. By the way, really nice. And I just touched up on the trailer that showed up. I think I discussed everything. If I did not, there will be some other pictures showing up, like right now, of certain things that I did miss that you may want to discuss or know about. So this covers this particular video. I'm not sure what I'll do next. But I think I'll be focusing on my reflections of Generation 3, Generation 2, Generation 1, getting those all edited to ready to be uploaded. I have a lot of Pokemon videos to edit. I don't know where we're going to go from there, but I will try to let you know in some future update that I do. So thank you for watching, and I will see you later on in the future. Goodbye.